greater height by translating and overseeing the dubbing for the Swahili language version of popular Netflix sitcom, The Upshows. In his own words, and I say this in verbatim, this means that African comics have a greater chance in the global market, and we are ready for the world. You can watch Upshows on Netflix in Swahili. It is the first ever Swahili comedy show on Netflix, and yes, history has been made. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Eddie Butita, the African Supremo and the writer-in-chief of the Comedy Forces of Africa, to the great Rotaract Club of Nairobi Central, as he takes us through on how to leverage content and create partnerships. Over to you, Eddie Butita.
Oh, thank you very much for the profile. I didn't know it's mine. Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to join you this evening to talk about how to leverage content and create partnerships. It's good to be with you tonight, and for all of us, even me especially, we are still learning. It's a new thing, and whatever we know is what we can share, and then maybe let's say the
Butita,
yeah?
Just to interrupt you a bit, kindly put on your video, if you don't mind. At the
I'm not,
end.
I don't have a suit. Maybe let me.
No, it's okay. We don't mind if you don't have a suit. Just want to
Okay.
see your face so that it's a bit more interactive.
Okay, so is that okay?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, sorry, my makeup artist was not around, but let's focus on tonight's issue. So, okay, I was saying in regards to content, it's a new thing. It's not a new thing per se that it started recently, but in terms of the developing things that are developing in the content world, there are things that we keep on learning every day, but there are a few things that will still remain the same, and the fundamental things that help a content creator to establish their own space and niche. Maybe some are still the same if you compare different content creators. So that's why I wanted to capture on a few things, just to mention. First being the reason behind. So I'll be trying to bring examples from my experiences based on what I'll be sharing, so that we can be able to get both sides of the story. So the first thing I would want to talk about is the reason behind. When the content creation thing started coming into place, everyone saw it as a hobby. It was like a by the way. Not everyone was doing it as a full-time job or a full-time activity. But now, as time moves, we discovered that most content creators were making more money compared to different jobs that we know they can make money. So it happened that some people started dropping out what they were doing and started focusing on content mainly, just to make sure that this is the main source of income of what they're doing. But now it also created a way for everyone to joining the content business, which brought a question of why are people doing it? That's why I want to talk about the reason behind. When you talk about content, a lot of people will see vlogs, let's say being a travel vlogger, maybe doing skits, maybe just doing, let's say, fashion things, makeup artists. There is a content box that people have fixed in it. People don't want to get outside that box, forgetting that content is when you switch on your phone, put on your just start recording. That's content. When you capture something using your voice recorder, that's content. And it doesn't need to be something that people do, something that is widely known as content. It doesn't need to be what your favorite celebrity is doing. It needs to be something that has a reason behind it. Like let's say I was having a discussion with someone who is a mechanic, and the guy was telling me that he feels he's good at doing skits. And I was like, yes, you may be wanting to do skits because we are doing skits online and they're working, but you're good at being a mechanic. Why can't you translate what you're doing on ground into content? You can start something to do with being a mechanic. Let's say a channel that talks about automobiles, talks about problems that people go through. Be that mechanic who gives us content that revolves around automobile industry. If maybe you are a lawyer, like if I need information about law, where is my go-to channel? Who is my go-to person when I need information about law? Because currently you must admit that before someone calls anyone, they run to Google first. They run to search. You're more likely to search about how to put off a fire than calling the fire people first. It's very easy in this era. So now, be the go-to person. Be the reason why I'm looking for content. If you are, if you're dealing with electricity or electrician, be that person that will be going to when we need content about that thing. There's a pilot called Captain Joe, and you can look at Captain Joe later. Captain Joe is a pilot, but he's making more money on YouTube by telling the aviation stories and giving people just answers to things that we've not answered yet. Things like why they switch off lights when a flight is about to land, when an aeroplane is about to land, why we don't have let's say windows on aircrafts that can open. This guy does such things and is making a lot of money, but within the niche that is experienced in, which is the aviation industry. So now, when you come to the reason behind, there is also something, the why in it. Yes, you want to do a certain type of content. You want to venture in it. Other people might be doing that. What is that reason that makes you different from the rest? Like, why do you want to be a makeup artist? Is it because you want to create videos, to create content? Or is it because you've discovered that most makeup artists, there's something that is lacking, and that is the gap that you want to fill? Like, what is the reason behind you doing that makeup artist thing? What is the reason behind you doing that content within your niche? So that when someone else comes and do it, there is the why thing. And maybe I can recommend a book when it comes to this. There's a book called Start with the Why. Start with the Why. They explain very well when it comes to the reason why companies like Apple stand out compared to other companies. Because now, for iPhone, it's not about a device, having a phone or a MacBook. It's they're filling a gap. Like it's more of a let's say a fashion industry. Like it's fashionable to have an iPhone, it's fashionable to have a Mac, because they wanted to do things differently. So they wanted it to be a lifestyle. They wanted it to be something that you feel that completes you. So if you have the why in your content, then you're good to go as far as attracting audience is concerned. Now, number two, human interest. Something can be interesting to you, but you alone, but something can be of interest to other people and not of interest to you. There are things we love doing. Yes, I can decide this is what I'll do as content. This is what I'm going to capture as content. But is it of human interest out there? Because research has it worldwide. The great media houses, great content channels are content that also talk about human interest stories. So that's an area where most of people are ignoring, and it's an area that can help you attract a lot of audience and be able to venture into content business in a great way. Then there is aligning yourself. Aligning yourself to what you are targeting. With this, I'll break it into different parts. Let's start with the audience now. The audience. Currently, worldwide, the most followed person on Instagram is Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano does three types of course, he does fitness, does sports, and lifestyle. all his posts are categorized in that manner, but you might not be able to notice it. But now people in the corporate industry will notice that very easily. So the content that you're putting out there, who are you targeting? Are you aligning to what they are looking for? Are you aligning to that direction that will attract people? First, you need the audience before even the business. Now, if I post a lifestyle picture, maybe I'm somewhere in a hotel, I'm in a vacation or on a vacation, maybe kuna gari mpya too, there's just a new car, the background. Probably people who are attracted to such pictures are people who are interested in lifestyle pictures or lifestyle content. This gives me an edge to attract these people, and it will help me when I'm looking for business. I can easily go and tell a particular hotel, yes, look, I have lifestyle content. This is what I've done for the past 3 months, and it attracts people who are interested in what you have. So it's very easy to get business, regardless of the number of followers, if you have an audience that is aligned. People would rather spend money to someone who has 10,000 followers, or let's just use 2,000 followers or subscribers that are well defined. This is what they like, than 1 million followers that you don't know where they fall to. Because this is the math that people do. For example, people who sell mobile phones. Someone is selling a phone worth 40,000, and they take a content creator who is selling a phone who has 2,000 followers. So the 2,000 followers content creator sells 200 pieces of that phone by just posting once. But there's another one who has 500,000 but sells 2 only. So you see what it means to align your content to a certain direction, so that you understand, these are my people. This is the business I attract, and these are the people that are concentrating with my content. Now, the creative economy in general, the content business and anything that falls under that. A research was done in United States, and it was found that you're more likely to hear kids saying they want to be a YouTuber or a content creator than them saying they want to be a neurosurgeon or an astronaut, which is quite shocking, because it's the in thing, it's lifestyle. But now, out of about 50 million content creators, only 2 million were doing it right. Only 2 million were doing it in a professional way. That means a lot of people start, but they don't proceed because of expectations, or rather, let's say, maybe consistency, not having consistency in it. Because it was only found that only 2 million started the journey and did drop along the way. But the rest will do it now, then they take a break after 6 months, they are back. But you know, the internet's moving so fast. You take a break and people forget about you. Something else comes, and when you come back, it's like you're trying to resurrect something that's dead already. That's why consistency is very key as far as the creative economy is concerned. The consistency. Then the business sustainability. Let me talk about sustainability in content. There's some type of content that need a lot of money to be produced. Most of the time, it's not sustainable because you don't know when it will start paying. So how do you spend a lot of money, yet you're not sure when it will start paying? Sometimes you need to do some evaluation and understand, I need to maintain quality, but I don't need to spend a lot of money because I need this thing to be sustainable up to a point whereby it will start giving me returns. Yes, the returns are high, but how do you get there without losing hope? Because I realized that most of the time we lose hope. Like me personally, the things I've been doing that I've been dropping them along the way was because they were not sustainable. I would feel like this thing is big, maybe, but it's not sustainable. But now I learned and decided to come up with a strategy of creating sustainable projects until a point where they'll start earning. That's when I go to the next level. So I reinvest back. So because one thing is sustainability. You might love doing something, but your financial capability might deny you the chance to keep on doing it. Right now, the way the content industry is set, we have the platforms. That's an opportunity. The YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, websites. We have platforms. We have corporates. We have corporates, and we have TV. In platforms, we also have video on demand, like Netflix, Viusasa. This is the applications. Now, all these things, TV. Let's start with TV. You get on TV, you'll be paid to produce. So sustainability plan will work on your favor. But now, for you to get on TV, you first need to do a pilot for what you're putting on TV. And for that one, you might sacrifice and say, okay, I'll put some money in doing a pilot, then pitch that pilot on TV stations to see if they can pay for it, if they can be able to buy it and help me continue producing more. So that one, the ROI is very clear. If your pilot is good, they might consider it. So for TV, sustainability plan works well. Platforms like YouTube currently, the CPM in Kenya is very low compared to CPM in United States and Australia and other European countries, let's say. If let's say you have 200,000 views, you're more likely to make 10% of that as income. Let's say 200,000 views can give you 20,000 Kenya shillings or less. But in USA or Europe countries, 200,000 can give you up to 100,000 Kenya shillings because their CPM is high. That's because a lot of people are bidding to advertise online, unlike Kenya, where we only have a few people who are actively advertising online. So that means sustainability on YouTube in Kenya, for you to sustain your content there, your production budget needs to be very low. If you can use your phone very well, do it. If you can take advantage of the mobile phone apps in editing, do it, because you need to reduce the cost. You need to reduce the cost in large percentage. Just reduce it, kabisa. And that's YouTube. If you come to Facebook and TikTok and let's say which one have I forgot? Just generally the platforms. You have to reduce the costs for you to sustain until that point when it will start making more sense. Because YouTube will start making more sense when you have more subscribers and more views, and it makes sense if you produce more. Like in Kenya, I can comfortably tell you, Diana and Kabio Jesus, let's say Eve Mungai, people who do content every day stand to make more money than people who do content on a weekly basis. So now, this puts you where? How do you sustain your content without having that number of subscribers, but leveraging on people that can help you sustain this content? That's where corporates come in. But how will corporates come in? Corporates will come in if what you're producing can align with their vision. And I have mentioned it earlier there. So the best thing to do is to reduce the budget, do it for like 3 months, then use that number, use the numbers that you have by being specific. This is the demographic that I'm attracting. These are the behaviors. This is the last post I made, and I think your product might fit in this. Then maybe they might start considering you. If they don't, I always say this, sometimes free creates an opportunity to make money. So you might say, okay, I'll take this product and put it in my content just once, and let's see how it works. If it works for us, let's continue the partnership now. Let's talk about business. If it doesn't work, well and good. Next time when I go to a different client, I'll use this as an example. I'll say, yes, I tried partnering with these people. This is how it worked. So That is in terms of platforms. Video on demand. Video on demand. These are things like Netflix, HBO, Viusasa, and just a lot of on-demand platforms. One thing people don't know, and when we're working with Netflix, we ask them, why is it that you don't take a lot of Kenyan content? And Netflix was like, it's you people who don't get your content to distributors. Because most on-demand platforms do not negotiate directly, because they won't negotiate with everyone on platform. These people are many. Everyone is bringing a movie on that platform. They can't have time to negotiate a contract with each and every one of them. So they use a distributor. A distributor negotiate with 100 people, and then they sell it once to them, or negotiate with 200 people and sell it once to them. So for them, it is us who are not getting our content to the distributors. There are distributors that are working on behalf of them. Like for Netflix in Africa, we had people like Okada Media, which is in Nigeria. We had a company in South Africa, and there is another in Kenya, but called Event Africa, but that one deals with the packaging and submission, maybe. So the distributors. So if you're looking to get into an on-demand platform, find a distributor. I think distributors in Kenya have like Media Pros and others, but a distributor will take your content and look for business on behalf of you. Whether, let's say on you have a corporate that wants to market and they think your content fits well. So the distributor gap, that is one thing people need to be clear with. They need to know that sometimes content don't get to that level because we don't get it to a distributor who can help us get it to that level. What else am I? Communicating subliminally. We have a problem currently of people feeling like they're being forced with advertising. Like when you watch content, you feel like people are over advertising their content to a point that you don't want to consume the content. Yes, content creators will tell you this is how we make money. We have to advertise. But consumers are like, we love you the way you are. We don't want you people to advertise. So how do we solve that problem? It's the mode of advertising. We all have watched movies and an iPhone rings. Sometimes you watch FBI movies and like they have Chevy, Ford, the cars they are using. They don't tell you this is the best car, but how it's being used in the movie, you feel like this is the best car. They don't tell you they're using iPhones, but the ringtone will tell you they're using iPhones. That brings the power of subliminal messaging in advertisement. People don't understand how we started eating popcorn and Coke in theaters and in cinemas. There's a research that says in, I don't know the year exactly, but it was a subliminal messaging. During a movie, they were splashing some message saying, grab a Coke and a popcorn. And it was so fast to a point that they say the normal brain will not process how quick it was, but the subliminal part of the brain would process that message. So this thing tells us that sometimes subliminal messaging goes directly into someone's brain than direct messaging. If I see someone drinking a particular drink for 5 days without that person telling me to buy that drink, I might end up buying that drink when I see it on a supermarket shelf. The power of subliminal messaging. So if you're thinking about advertising, consider subliminal advertising. You can read more about subliminal advertising and see how it works. Like, take for example, I'm wearing a hoodie that's written autism. We wanted to spread autism awareness worldwide, in Africa, because people didn't understand what is autism. People didn't see it as a curse. And the idea was make it visible to a point that people will start asking more information about it. And it worked. In 2019, we did more of just putting the name out there without talking about it. And people started asking questions just after a few months, like, I'm interested in knowing what is this. We will receive calls. That means subliminal works more than direct, because direct feels like you've been paid to force me with a brand. But subliminal feels like you're falling in love with a specific brand. It must be good. So I also need to fall in love with that brand. I also need to know more about that brand. So subliminal advertising will make you not dilute your content in the creative economy. What else do I need to touch? Criticism. Criticism is everywhere. Like you might do something that you think is good, and you receive backlash, and maybe people don't like it. But something that keeps me going is people hate because it's you. If it's their brother or sister was doing that, they would hate. They would correct, maybe. They'll just put positive criticism. So never stop doing something because someone has said it's not working. Assume it is their sibling who is doing it. How would they react? So I learned that because I used to write jokes at Churchill Show while performing. So I perform and I write for other comedians. So I do a good set on stage and I get someone writing on Facebook, I've never found this guy funny. I don't like what he's doing. But I see the same guy appreciating jokes from a different comedian, saying, okay, fadhali nisikie huyu. I'd rather listen to this comedian. Is more funny than Butita. And I'm like, that's content that I've written. So it's just hating because it's me. If I'm to do those jokes, he will still hate. So I realized most of the time, when people hate what you're doing, they might not go with it far. They just do it for a few months and they're gone. Another crop of haters coming. So when you're doing content, be ready to face this. Be ready to get people who are telling you you're not doing it in a good way. But most of the time, what counts is the people that love what you're doing. Because even the people who want to do business with you understand that haters exist. Even the companies that want to partner with you, they have haters. So take positive criticism, but comments that or feedback that try to shut you down, just understand that they'll always be there, and it's just it's personal. It has nothing to do with what you're doing. Yeah. So maybe before I finish, I can just give you a formula that we've been using, the flight formula: check-in, take-off, and cruise. Check-in, understand why you're doing something, understand why you want to do that content, understand why you want to, what's making you different from the people that are doing it, like why you're doing it. When you're ready for takeoff, consistency checks in. Do it, keep on doing it, and make it sure it's sustainable so that you don't lose hope. And if you, naturally, there are people who, like me, sometimes I might say I procrastinate sometimes, but how do I beat it? I block shoot. It's content. I can do something that will be shared in 2 months. I can do it in a week, just finish it. Sometimes we record in a day things that will run the whole month, because if something runs weekly once, those are just 4 episodes. If it runs twice, those are 8. You can do them in a day or 2. Just plan yourself, do them, then continue doing other things while you schedule the posts. So it helps in being consistent without procrastinating. Cruising. Now everything is working for you. You have the right content. You've done everything as it is. You are now at a level whereby things are working for you. That's the most crucial point, because most people lose it at that point, because you get comfortable when things are working and you stop challenging yourself. You stop creating more ideas. You stop seeing the need to start afresh. But the easiest way to get out of the comfort zone in content is to start another baby within your content space. So this is what I was doing. Maybe I was doing content about, content about, let's say, about health, maybe. And people love it now. Now within that niche, what else can I introduce Is it a new show? Is it a new topic? Is it just a new thing? It can help you know if you are in a comfort zone or if you're losing audience. Because if you create a new baby and it's not peaking, it means the attention of people, they've started dropping out. So the best thing is to create, when you feel like things are working for you, create a new baby. The baby that is working now, let that work, create a new one and make it reach that level again. That is the strategy. So it's wide. This is a wide field. Maybe if I can leave the floor open to any questions so that I can maybe handle that and see what I've been, what I've left behind. Because at the end of the day, it's a green area. We keep on learning every day, and we might share things that are proven facts, and we might share things that maybe are just our own facts that maybe are not working. So you try and see if it works or not. So maybe I can throw it back to the floor for questions.
Thank you, Butita. Steve, will you take this session?
Thank
Bon
you,
appetit.
Yes,
Okay,
Madam
sasa.
President. Perhaps
Aya, do your thing.
perhaps, ladies and gentlemen, do we have anybody who has a question to our guest or a clarification he needs? Perhaps I would go first. Butita, perhaps you've done amazing work with Netflix, and on behalf of our members, we would like to hear more about that. What does it feel, creating the first ever Swahili, participating in the dubbing and translating of the first ever Swahili show on Netflix? Thank you. Members, kindly chat in your questions, and then we'll be able to guide through to our guest. Over to you, Butita.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. So Netflix, for me, I've always knew Netflix as the best platform when it comes to, okay, people see Netflix as an entertainment platform, but me, I see it as a distribution network too. Because once your product gets to Netflix, you get new audience and you are able to penetrate new market. So I always wanted to be part of Netflix. In 2017, I did English special comedy specifically so that I can be able to attract international platforms like Netflix. So I've been doing behind the scene, writing content for comedians, but then most Kenyans didn't know that. So I remember there's a time we did a show with Njugush. It was called TTNT1 at Garden City, and we did TTNT1, and we did behind the scene just to show people how this thing has been going on, how we do the process of content. And we did also TTNT2 and did the behind the scene story. So by that time, maybe just the stars aligned, because Netflix was looking for someone to translate app shows into Swahili, but the light Swahili, just the Nairobi Swahili. That's not too deep and it's not too much of Sheng. So that someone in Nairobi can understand, Tanzania can understand, Congo, all the Swahili speakers. So they first did this it in TZ, and they wanted to do it in Nairobi so that we cannot lose the joke spear, because most of the time the English comedy sitcoms are written in the slang English, which is like their Sheng. So if you translate it in Sanifu, you lose the jokes. So you have to translate it in our slang, because it's a casual, it's called colloquial English, it's called something like that. It's like their Sheng, their slang. So that's when maybe the people called me, told me they came across the behind the scene video we did, the process of writing the jokes. And that's how they found me. And I went and looked at my content, looked at my information, and they found that I've been doing this before. So that's when the things that I've been doing before counted so much when it came to them deciding to give me this opportunity. So the opportunity to me, it brought validation. That's what I can say, because I'll tell in everything that I've been doing online, some things started picking up when people realized I've worked with the Netflix. That's when I started seeing some level of validation coming with it. And it also made me understand that sometimes the people that partner with you and the people that you work with are very key in selling your product. Like brand association is very key. That brand association for Netflix, I was working under a company called Event Africa, which does the work on behalf of Netflix. But the brand validation of Netflix brought so much brand trust in my products from that time. I think from September up to now, I would really tell that the kind of concentration that has been on what I'm doing has been more compared to that. So it was a good experience, and it made me understand that content has no barriers when it comes to language. You will see a Spanish movie and it goes viral. Money Heist first edition was purely Spanish. So I understood that it has nothing to do with language. Nowadays we have subtitles. When you have good content, someone buys it, they'll find out how it will have subtitles, how it will have dubbing, subtitles, and they'll adapt it to different languages. So a good story will sell. A good story will always sell regardless of the language. And I also understood that our culture is yet to be, we have rich stories. The Western stories have been told, but African stories have not been told. And that's a gap that creatives need to measure on. Like stories of our cultures, we're yet to see them in movies, but we've seen stories of FBI's, CIA. We've seen that in almost, let's say, about more than 100 movies. So it's time for us to leverage on that. Let's see if we can tell our stories, our cultures, and get into that space. So basically, that's my experience with Netflix. Maybe if there is another thing that I need to share, and how they protect content, it's very key. They make you feel like content is very expensive, and it's key. They're like, content is like gold. Sometimes people don't access places that content is, even with their mobile phones. It's very key. It's protected like money, because to them it's serious business. Thank you.
Thank you, Butita, for that. And I actually agree with you. In the newsroom, we say that content is king. So for that, I agree with you. We have some questions coming in through thick and fast from the chat section. Perhaps I could take maybe in batches of 3, and then you can so that you can answer them as we take maybe another last batch of 3. Thank you for that. The first question comes from Insight Kingori, who asks, who are your favorite people to work with? Perhaps you can share on that. We have a question from Muthoni Rongo, who says, what inspired you to start SPM Buzz? Perhaps you can talk about your company around that. And also stemming from what you've just said about creating content that, has a global consumption. We have a question from Jason, who asked that when creating content, how do you create content that may have a global consumption and not only the Kenyan market? Sometimes I feel Sheng and Swahili limits the audience. That's from Jason. So perhaps you could respond to that as we gather the next batch of questions. Thank you.
Okay. So favorite people to work with. I'll generalize, then maybe I'll be specific. Just to generalize, anyone who is open-minded in taking instructions, because sometimes when developing content, a lot of people don't trust everyone when it comes to there are people who are rigid when in trusting people that are helping them in creating content. So anyone that's open in asking, why do you think this works for me, rather than shutting it down, those are my best people to work with. And in the industry, I think can mention Njugush Abel Mutua, Eric Omondi. Those are the people that I've written for, and we've worked together. And I would really recommend someone to work with them, maybe, because working with Njugush and Abel made me know the importance of appreciating the people behind the scene, because they would appreciate even the cameraman, even the person who is doing even the stage manager that people don't know. And this ends up giving people other opportunities out there, because if you don't credit people who are behind the scene, how will they get new opportunities? So I think they're the best when it comes to that. SPM Buzz. Now, SPM Buzz, what inspired us to start SPM Buzz? In 2017, I started SPM, Stage Presence Media, which was basically about events and marketing strategies, looking for how we can solve problems using creativity. Maybe you need to market something, create a strategy around it. If it's a content strategy or a marketing strategy. So that was Stage Presence Media. So we've been doing events, campus events, diaspora events. Then in 2018, 2019, I went to Tanzania, and I was inspired with how they've made the industry vibrant. I used to be a fan of E-News, TMZ, all these things, but I always wanted to see that thing working in Africa. So I went to Tanzania, and we are at the airport, and there are like 10 media houses, online media, and they report that we have arrived, the comedy show is tonight, and it goes viral, and we fill the place. So I wanted us to have a vibrant industry that an artist can call for a press conference, and we have 10 microphones there, and it goes viral. A vibrant industry that will serve the now generation, because people want information faster and now. Traditional TV will come and cover news, but it has a lot of bureaucracy. So before 7 p.m., we want a place where we can get content right on time. We don't need to wait at 7 or at 9. So that is the inspiration I got to start SPM Buzz. I wanted a platform whereby all feelings are represented. A platform that can have live discussions on what is happening, and you can be able to comment about it. And you can also be able to get what is happening at the moment. Is it an event? Is it a star who is talking about anything? And human interest stories. Like right now, we're introducing stories about people who are making a lot of money using less capital. In Masonko, chini ya maji, Wakenya mashinani. So human interest stories and what's happening now. Just home of real conversations. So when we started SPM Buzz, like the first meeting we had, we said, our vision is, just before our vision, then we said, in 6 months' time, we'd like to see people doing online media more than it was before. So we'll give it a lot of noise and make people feel like this is the in thing, so that we can attract even competitors to join us, because this will only make sense if we are many players in the field. Now that's when we'll start even making money out of it, because currently corporates have started noticing that online media is big. So the idea behind SPM Buzz was online media, a media of our time. Thank you. Now, global consumption. How do you create content that's of global consumption? When writing, let me use an example of stand-up comedy. People used to say, okay, when you're doing stand-up comedy, tell jokes about USA, tell jokes about China, things that people understand globally. But then I realized that this is from my opinion. When I'm watching a movie, I don't know, but they'll make me understand New York and its culture before telling me a story about it. In writing, you are told sometimes you need to tell the picture, there is a characterization. You need to make people understand the environment, because they are not part of the environment. It's your story. So I think there is nothing like, I will rule out something called global content. It's how you package that content that you think is local to the global market. So the task here is packaging. I want to tell a story about Rorashio in Kenya, in Murang'a. The outside world doesn't know about this. It's only Kenyans who understand it. But how do I package it to the outside world? I start by introducing them to my environment, introducing them to my story, telling them the rules of my culture. So by the time I show them something like Rorashio, they understand everything. They understand that this is a tradition that happens when people are getting married. So packaging is very key when it comes to global consumption. always assume, the secret is always assume that you are the only one who knows about that. So you need to tell them your side, you need to make them understand. In stand-up comedy, maybe that's the best example I can use because I've seen that. There's a time I went to do a show in USA House of Comedy in Minnesota. So I had jokes in Kenya, jokes za Kariobangi, jokes about just Nairobi River Road, Ghetto, Kenya. And I felt like, hey, I'm out of place. I can't tell these stories here because these people would understand me. I need to talk about the trains, and I need to talk about maybe how they have the culture of you can order anything while you're at home. So I did that. I did content that was primarily associating with their life. And they realized it's not giving me an edge in that market. Anytime I do comedy club in USA, I'm telling them what they know. And they know better than me. So I can't tell them about electric trains and they know better than me. So I'll need to tell them that story about Kariobangi and make them feel like they've been there. So I'll start by introducing Kariobangi, introduce this place, create a picture, make them understand where you came from, make them understand everything. Now start telling your story. So the secret about global consumption is just packaging. Make sure they understand the finer details that you understand before telling a story. Don't assume they it. And don't think that telling global story is telling what those people know. Welcome, Marty. I want to talk about Washington, D.C. I want to talk about White House. They know that better than you. So you tell your story, but package it for global audience. Yeah. So that's, I think I've answered the three.
Yes, Eddie, you've answered the three. Kindly, with your permission, thank you. With your permission, I'd like to take the next set of three questions.
Yes.
Perhaps you could make it a set of 4 kwa sababu maswali ni mengi.
Sawa, yeah. Brief to answers.
Thank you so much for your indulgence on that. We do have Michelle who is asking, could you describe your journey from where you started and where you are in a few words, perhaps in your own words? And there is Tony from Road Tractor River is asking whether do you still do comedy? And Muthoni Rongo is still on the same breath on how long have you been in the industry? And perhaps in relation to the upcoming TTNT 3, you could also, mention something around that. And now we do have Karemi Joyce, who is a guest here at RCNC, is asking, how do you keep yourself from negative comparison in your field? So perhaps you could answer that as we compile the last set of 4 questions. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, for the journey, maybe briefly. Okay, my journey starts in. Okay, I'll combine both the journey because I've been a comedian and a creative director, also a writer. So writing starts back in 2008 when I was in Butere Boys High School. So our drama teacher gets a transfer and we have no one to write a script for us for drama play. So I used to read plays, just books that have plays. So I knew the format. I had an idea and I just told a story. And luckily now they managed to go to the provincial level with that play. So that I can say my journey for writing started there. So that's in Form 2. So, but the comedy journey started in 2010. Immediately after high school, I started going for auditions at Carnival. I remember through Facebook, I just asked, I think it was Fred Omondi on his post, I would like to know the auditions, when auditions are held. And he referred me to Carnival Grounds. It was every Monday. So I did 8 auditions and I never got a chance on stage, but on the 9th audition, I got on stage and Chachi Live went on a break. That's 2011. It went on a break after performing once. So 2012, we do club shows, trying to do comedy in clubs. Then 2012, Kenya Corner Comedy comes. It was on Citizen TV. We try our luck because we had content from the club shows and to get a chance to be on TV. So when Churchill show came back on 2013, I think I was ready for the stage and I had enough content. So 2013, 14, 15, I joined NTV for the trend. That's through Larry. I think Larry had called someone for an interview. That was Owago Jiro at Nation FM. And I happened to be the Owago. Then he loved the session and he called me back the other side, the week that followed. So he had a show on radio called the Larry Mado Show. I was bringing the comedy side and he was the main host. So that's where he took me to it was called TTTT. It was on Nation every Friday 8, still there. So I did that for like, I think 5 years before I left. I left, it was last year, but one. I left in, it has to be 2020, yeah. Yes, 2020. And I did the stand-up comedy branding very well, because that's when I was able to do shows outside the country, in Rwanda, Dubai, USA, in different parts of the world doing stand-up comedy. And NTV is when I professionally, let's say, started doing social commentary because of the format of TTT, and also writing for the Weekend Edition comedy show, which airs on NTV. And I think around that time is when I went back to Churchill Show as a creative director too. So I was performing and also a creative director. So maybe I might not have finer details of every year. 2017, I started SPM, the marketing agency and events company, ready to until 2019, campus, started the campus tours. 2021, we started SPM Buzz. So currently, I can say in a stage where, for me, I think all those years I've been finding myself, not in a bad way, but I've been trying to make people concentrate with what I'm doing. But I feel that I'm in a stage whereby I've gotten my audience seated. I need now to show them what else I have for them. So I'm at a stage where I need to challenge myself more and get into a global space now. Do you still do comedy? Yes. Comedy is my first love. Like, I do comedy every day. Everything I do is just revolves around comedy. When I'm not performing, I'm writing comedy. So we have comedy clubs in Nairobi. We have one at Mayura Westlands. We have another one at number 7 in CBD. So comedy clubs happen every week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. So we go there, we try new content, But now, since we used to do comedy on Churchill Show every Sunday, which is now at TV47. So most people, when we left Churchill Show, maybe they thought that we've stopped doing it. We are still doing it. We're still doing shows. We are still doing private shows. We are still being called for gigs and writing new material for specials. But that does not mean, when we are not on TV, does not mean we are not doing comedy. It's just that maybe we are trying to re-strategize on how we are bringing back content on TV, because everything is shifting online. We're trying to see how we can keep our audience entertained online. That's where I've been doing series online. You can watch on YouTube and you'll be up to date with what we are doing. How long have you been in the industry? From 2012 to now, it's about 12 years. I didn't do my 10 years in the industry celebration because I felt like, yes, there was something to celebrate, but I felt like I still don't have a story to tell in regards to 10 years. So I wanted to, maybe I'll do a celebration in 20 years because I'll have enough to tell people. Like, the journey will be quite inspirational. Maybe it's inspirational up to now, but I feel like I need to do more. So about 12 years. TT&T3. TT&T3 is a stand-up comedy show by Njugush and Celestine. In 2019, we had a conversation with Njugush. He had done a lot of skits online, and people were now, like, he wanted to go to the next level and see what else he can bring into play so that the audience can keep track of him. Because with content, they love what you're doing until they start understanding how you're doing it. Now they drop out. That's why you'll find, like, someone trends, like, and they disappear. It's because after trending, after we've understood your style, we know your style, we ask for more. If you don't give us that, we drop. Look at everyone that goes viral. At some point, they disappear because they don't bring something new. So now, Jugush thought of bringing a stand-up comedy special that will be in line with what he does, because he was not doing stand-up comedy earlier. So how does he blend in a stand-up special? People consume it the way they have been consuming his content. So we did sessions where Abel went to different parts just to do. We did camping just to think about how did Jugu's style work on stage as a performer, and we got a style where we could fit character and storytelling and create a comedy special. So we did TTNT1, which was sold out with 2,000 people attending at Garden City. TTNT2 during COVID, it was we recorded and people were streaming online. They were buying the content online, which made business sense for us than TTNT1. We realized that with online, you can be able to get more people easily than without headache. You do an event that has 10,000 people, 3,000, just 1,000 people, the kind of headache that's there, security, kila kitu, hectic. But you do with a minimal audience and sell it online, you are able to reach a lot of people without so much headache. So TTNT3 is this week, Friday, at the Nairobi Cinema. So that's where the live recording will be happening from 6 p.m. Tickets are available, and you can check out Jugu's social media platforms for more details. It's this Friday at the Nairobi Cinema. So basically, that's the information about TTNT. Negative comparison. As I mentioned earlier, they hate because it's you. It's personal. It has nothing to do with what you're doing. Because what people find boring, the other people were loving it. So just know that you'll never make everyone happy. But at the end of the day, those that counts, sometimes they don't talk. The people who keep on talking, the people who keep on sharing negative things and negative comparison don't matter at all. When you stop doing it is when you realize that there are more people who cared, but they were quiet. Just know that there are people who support you more, and the numbers are higher than people who are not supporting you. Yeah. So maybe you can take the other bunch of the questions.
Thank you, Butita, for that detailed explanation. I beg to take the last set of 4 questions before taking the meeting back to Madam President. So this set of questions now focuses more on content creation. I see we have content creators in the house tonight. I start with Noah Roy, who says that I'd love to work with you behind the scenes. I'm a content creator, and yes, I've written books. How can you recommend me? That's from Noah Roy. We do have Mark Asugo, who says that I am a music publisher and focusing on getting music onto online content and TV. How open are you in involving Kenyan music in your content? If it's cleared, and perhaps what are the rates? We do have a question from Makena Moneki, who speaks to where do you draw the line in your personal privacy when creating content? And perhaps she also posed a question about, in your view, why do you think most content creators would suffer from mental health issues? And yes, the last one would be, how would you maintain your personal development? As in, do you ensure 15 years from now, you're still a great force in the industry? That's one from Jason Gikonyo. So yes, that's the last set of 4 questions. Over to you, Butita. Thank you.
Okay, I'll start with the behind the scene. One who said they would like to partner with us. Yeah, we are mostly open with partnerships, but sometimes it depends. So maybe if they can drop us an email at butita@spm.co.ke, butita@spm.co.ke, with details on how they would like us to partner. Then we might see if what we are doing has if there is a gap in what we are doing, we can be able to put them in. If there isn't any space, then we can keep in touch by just sharing information and knowledge to see how they can also develop themselves, even if we are not working together. The publisher for music, yes, we are open to use music in our content, but now we have the rights issues that's coming up nowadays. I might use your music and end up getting copyright strikes. So it has, that's one thing we've not been keen with in Kenya. We need to put things on paper as far as content is concerned. If I'm using your music, it needs to be written so that I can have release rights from you and be able to use it if it's on YouTube. If it's if you want it to be used on the skits, if it's promotional purposes, then also that one sometimes it also comes with that, depending on how you want it to be promoted. So you can also just get in touch with us, and we can see how we can partner when it comes to that. Privacy, personal space. Yes, nowadays it's tricky. Sometimes you might protect your private, your personal space, and someone else ends up putting it out there. So the idea is just show people what you're comfortable with. And if you end up showing them something and you realize later it was not comfortable, it's done. It's the internet. Once it's there, you have next time to make things right. But actually, the easiest way is assume I've posted it already. What's the implication? Like, to what level do I want people to know me? Do I want them to know me in details, my life, inside my life? Like, am I ready to see them abusing my closest people in my family? Am I ready to see them appreciating closest people in my family? Like, am I ready to subject people that are not me into this space? If yes, then well and good. But for me, I think fame is also it's also dangerous to people who are not ready for it. So before you introduce someone to that space, be sure they really want to be in it. And if it's your personal space, if you're not comfortable with people about your personal space, then don't show them. Keep on giving them what they know you for. Surprisingly enough, when you post something that's in your personal space, it gets more traction than what you do. I call that a trap. It's a trap. You post a picture of you and your girlfriend doing something, you get more views than your content. So it's a trap that most people don't see. Don't keep on doing that, because it will end up diluting the main thing that you do. So the moment your private life dilutes your main content, you'll never have a chance to resuscitate your content again. So balance more of your content, because that's key. Okay, mental health. Yeah, it does happen to people in the creative industry, because the creative industry, you keep on thinking every day, because what you created yesterday, it's irrelevant today. You need to create something new. Mental health is real, but now people keep on saying, okay, talk to people. What? I don't know how that works, because sometimes talking to people is more difficult for a lot of people. So this is what I noted. I don't want to judge people, but just my opinion. Alcohol and substance abuse plays a role also as far as creative are concerned. Because if you look at all these people who have been having these issues, you'll find that one thing is constant: substance abuse. Not all of them, most of them. Alcohol and substance abuse. And now, leave that alone. There's also the pressure that comes with fame. Sometimes your fame does not match your finance, and you end up being stressed. You end up thinking like, this is not working for me. I'm famous without money. Also, that's a reason why some creatives end up suffering from mental health. But this is what we say sometimes. Yes, your fame might not match the money, but the point is, someone out there is watching. It might not come now, but it will certainly come. There is no way you can be famous and doing the right thing and you'll never make money at some point. So it's just patience capital. Patience capital in terms of being ready to wait until that point. And there is also an issue of you having the right things now, having money, having fame. Then you wake up one day, you don't have money. and people don't want to consume your content, and you feel like, okay, this is the end of the road. I can't go back to where I was. Life cannot move again. No, just wake up, start again, do it again. If you did it and it worked, you can still do it and it will work. And if you maintain the right networks, you don't burn bridges, you will still have a place to go to when something happens. I can give an example. There are people who used to leave Churchill by writing bad things online. It becomes hard to go back because these are bridges. These bridges that you're burning, you'll need them at some point. So don't burn bridges. So when everything is gone, just wake up. It's life. Start again. Start pushing again. You made the first one. You'll still make the second one. Being relevant 15 years from now, creating new babies, not literally. Coming up with new ideas every time. Every year I create a new idea that runs for that year. I sometimes create ideas that I know this one will work for in 3 years to come. Like SPM bars, created it last year. This is something that we see the end goal coming in like 5 or 10 years. Yes, it will work, but we have our end goal that we are targeting. So keep on creating new ideas and involve the new generation, because people are coming. We have new generation every time. People are leaving school this year. Next year, we'll have people who have graduated. And now we need to put them in the project that we are doing because they have new ideas, fresh minds, and people would rather see you growing new talent than just seeing you forcing to be in the space alone. It will help you, you'll leverage on that. I learned that from Churchill. He has remained relevant throughout by giving platform. So when we are relevant, he's still relevant. When we create other comedians, he will still remain relevant. So give opportunity to the new generation and keep on creating babies. Yeah. I think I've answered all of them.
Yes, Butita, you've answered all of them, and we thank you for that. People are excited about creating babies, and I think they'll be creating babies subliminally.
Yeah, let's create a baby.
Thank you so.
Yeah, it's in simple terms. Maybe if we take it literally, the idea is like you're asking me, when will you? How do you make sure that you constantly have a kid in school? Is by getting a new kid every time. So that's it. So the school is the industry, is the space. Keep on creating babies. Babies are the projects that you think of every time, the new ideas. Yes.
Thank you so much for that, Butita. At this point, due to the interest of time, we'll not be able to pick up any further questions, members.
Okay.
But
they can still reach me out on my socials. Social media, Eddie Butita. You can drop your email or a DM. I'll be open to answer the questions.
Thank you. That was actually my next question. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. At this point, I'd like to take the meeting back to Madam President Ruth Kihoro to take us through. Ruth.
Thank you, Steve. We've gone past our usual time, so thank you for everyone who is still on the call. I'd like to invite, before I do so, kindly ensure that you have registered your attendance via the link that is being shared by our secretary, Abigail Aganda. I see that not all of us have submitted our details, so especially for guests, it's really important so that we are able to make contact with you. I'd like to invite Samuel Karanja to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening again, everyone. That was quite a talk, not only for those in the creative space, but also those of us who are in other more boring spaces. We still had a lot to take home. I think, Butita, you went beyond explaining what you do in your field, explaining to us consumers of content what happens behind the scenes and how you know the thought process. And I think something we all like, and and everyone who sees YouTube commercials every other 2 seconds now understand that YouTube needs to think better or to plan better. But I think my main takeaway is you have really understood your industry, your audience, and also what's happening next. I think that for me was very key. You understand the industry, you understand your audience, and you're looking into the future and planning for it. And I think that goes beyond just your industry, and for all of us in the different ways we pay our bills or create wealth. I think that's very important. Understand your industry, understand your audience or your clients, and understand the future. But also, very interesting topics around mental health, creating new babies, planning, partnerships. I think we are more wiser than we were 1 hour ago. So thank you very much. Thank you to all who joined us this evening and asked a lot of questions. I think for the first time in a while, the questions are too much to be answered within the space of our meeting. Yeah, so thank you everyone. Thank you for joining the Rotaract Club of Nairobi Central. We do this every 2 weeks, and see you here sometime or see you online. And Butita, please continue entertaining us. Asante.
Thank you, SK. Thank you, Supeo. Kindly move to the next slide. Yes, so for the announcement, if you're from a visiting club and you have an announcement, kindly drop it in or or if you have any of our members' contacts, just share the details with them. Due to the interest of time, I won't give you all opportunities to give your announcements, so you can just share them on the chat, and we shall communicate the same to our members and guests. Maybe one announcement that I'd like to emphasize. We will be having, Rotaract Nairobi region will be participating in the Kenyan Squid Games. So this now goes for anyone who didn't register to be part of the team. We already have the team. It's a mixture of members and guests. For those who would like to watch, there will be a watching venue where you can watch as the tournament, as the games go on. There'll be food and drinks. And then I think also on the day there will be a YouTube link so you can watch the games live from wherever you will be. So this will be happening on the 24th of April at Diamond Plaza 2. I think that's the new Diamond Plaza, 7th floor. And it is free. So you'll just come and have a wonderful Sunday afternoon, and let's get to see how creative and crazy Rotaractors can be. I think that's it, unless there's something I'm forgetting, Super.